We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Hilchot Shabbat, and we have been discussing Siman Resh Tzadichet, the halachot of Havdalah. We are up to Seif Hey on Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Bet of regular prints of your Mishna Beruras and Mevarechin al Haner. This is a straight Gemara, straight up from Masechet Brachot of Samech Bet and Samech Gimel. That's the Nun Bet and Nun Gimel. Rather, the Gemara there says that you cannot say a bracha of Hamavdil, the bracha of Ner, on a candle that was not shovet on Shabbat. In other words, if an Isur was done, the candle was lit be'Isur, then it would be Asur to say the bracha of Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh on that flame. Now, this is even b'di'evet. That means even if you did say it already, you have to go back and say it again. Says the Mishna Berura afilu b'di'evet lo yatsa. Now the Kaf HaChaim disagrees with this Mishna Berura's psak, and he says that perhaps b'di'evet you are yotze. It's not a problem, but nevertheless, the Shulchan Aruch writes this means that you have done an avera lighting this candle. But if you haven't done an avera by lighting it, for instance, imagine someone's life was in danger and you needed to light the flame. So that's, of course, allowed. A Jew could do it. Or even a choleh she'en bo sakana, a sick person that's bed rest, but is not endangered, it's not a life-threatening ailment and situation, then you could ask a goy to turn on a fire on Shabbat. That also would be mutar. That flame is kasher for saying Baruch HaMavdil, to say Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh on it. It will be fine. Says the Shulchan Aruch, La'afukeh or shehudlak lechaya or lecholeh. If a candle was lit for a woman in labor that needs some heat, or for a sick person, because it was not lit for an avera, it was lit beheter, then you could say the bracha Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh on it. But if the non-Jew lit this fire on Shabbat, because if the Jew would be, in other words, it's his house, didn't do it for you, you didn't ask him to do it, it just happens to be a flame lit on Shabbat by a goy, you cannot use it for Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh. Why? Because had you done it, it would be a problem, therefore you cannot do it right now. Either if the Jew would have done it would be a Chilul Shabbat, because you didn't have a choleh, you didn't have a sick person, and therefore even though that the goy did it without your command, not even for a Jew, still would be a flame that you should not be saying Boreh Meoreh Ha'esh on. It's not a flame that was shavat. Lo shavat mi melechet avera mikri ve'en mevarachin al ur shel avodat gilulim. Now, the Mishna Berura explains, what does it mean that you don't say bracha on a fire of avodah zarah? If a goy lit a fire for the kavod of their deities on Motzei Shabbat, so it's not a problem, a practical problem of being lit ba'avera. It was lit on Motzei Shabbat, but it's a different avera. It's the same category because it was lit for the kavod of avodah zarah, and therefore it's asur to have any benefit from it, and that's only if the flame is kshura bener or begachelet shel avodat gilulim. This is a problem when the candle is from avodah zarah. The kevan shegachelet yesh bo mamash v'shalhevet kshura bo, because the flame is tied to a fuel. And if the fuel is asur, the flame would be asur, even though that the flame doesn't have real mamashut of that sort to it, it's just light, then it still would be asur. The shalhevet that's not tied to it, if a Jew goes to a candle of Avodat Kochavim, and he takes flame from that. He lights his candle, which is a candle that belongs to the Jew, from a candle of Avodat Kochavim, that would be mutar. Even though that you took the fire from a goy, the fire is attached to your candle. And the candle is mutar, the shalhevet will be fine as well. It says the Shulchan Aruch Seif, "V'avenu Yehudi sheidlik b'motzei Shabbat mi Yisrael o Yisrael meno Yehudi." If you took flame from a goy, or the goy took flame from your candle, then in that case, mevarchin alav, you could say bracha of borei meoreh ha'esh on that flame. Aval eno Yehudi sheidlik me eno Yehudi, but a goy who lit the fire from another goy, en mevarchin alav. In that case, you don't say bracha on it. Ubemotzai Yom HaKippurim en mevarchin al ner sheidlik Yisrael meno Yehudi. Motzai Yom Kippur, you can't even have a flame that the Jew took from a goy. Now we have to understand why this is. Why is it that if a goy on Motzei Shabbat gets flame from another goy, I can't say bracha on it, but if he gets it from a Jew, I could say bracha? What's the difference? So it says, the Mishna Berura, Yisrael me'eno Yehudi, Hainu afilu im eno Yehudi lik ner shelo, even if the goy lit his candle on Shabbat, which would mean you cannot use that candle because it was lit on Shabbat, still if you get a new flame from that on Motzei Shabbat, it's fine. Why? Because al yedei hadlakat haYisrael, through the lighting of the Jew, nitosef ur shel heter al miktzat ha'ur sheyesh bo min ha'ur harishon. Because now you have an additional fire. Yes, correct. You took from the fire that was asur, but it's now your own fire as well, and that tosefet of heter allows you to say the bracha on it and to use that candle for havdalah. But says the Mishna Berura, "Aval eno Yehudi sheidlik," a goy that gets the flame from another goy, lo amrin bazeh deitosaf ur shel heter. We don't say that now it's a fire of heter over there, because the goy got it on Motzei Shabbat from the other goy. The gazru atu eno Yehudi rishon, even though that technically should be the same thing as a Jew taking the flame, but we are concerned that if you allow this, then people are going to say, well, what's the difference? It's the candle of a goy. Now the goy himself did it, the goy got it from another goy. Well, there's nevela v'zeterefa. It's the same thing. It's a goy, right? So what's the difference exactly? And people are going to come to use the first flame from a goy that lit his candle on Shabbat, which would be asur. Therefore, we have a gezerah that on Motzei Shabbat you cannot use a flame of a goy unless he strike the match on Motzei Shabbat. If he took it from another goy's flame that was lit on Shabbat, we don't let it, even though that technically should come out to be the same thing as a Jew getting a flame from a goy on Motzei Shabbat. So therefore, if you have, let's say, this could happen actually. It could happen if a person does not have especially if someone is, let's say, smoking, not promoting that, but if someone is smoking, so instead of having a match, you say, okay, you have it already, so let's take from this, right? You want to say that if a Jew gets it from him, then it's mutar. If a goy takes it from him, then it will be asur. Unless, again, he had lit this cigarette or whatever flame it is already on Motzei Shabbat, not on Shabbat itself. So says the Mishna Berura, what is the reason for the Yom Kippur candle that we say you cannot say on Motzei Yom Kippur a bracha even on a light that the Jew got from a goy? In other words, Motzei Yom Kippur, you say, oh, do we have a candle? Usually you put like this 36-hour candles on Erev Yom Kippur. Let's say you went out off, you didn't have it on on Erev Yom Kippur altogether. So Motzai Yom Kippur say Havdalah. What are you going to do? So you're going to go to a Goyish store next to the shul and get some flame. So you say, well, the Jew got it from him, so it should be mutar. It's not. On Yom Kippur is different. What's the difference? What's the special thing about Yom Kippur? Says the Mishna Berura, because the fire that the non-Jew has, na'asa bo melacha. A melacha was done with it, she'udlak b'yom kippurim, because it was lit on Yom Kippur, and therefore, even though that on Motzei Shabbat we wouldn't care about that, the reason for Motzei Shabbat is because you are saying the bracha on the tosefet of the flame that the Jew now created. The additional flame that the Jew created is shalhevet shalheter, and therefore it would be mutar for the Jew to say Havdalah on it. But this tosefet was created right now, and it's fine. The tosefet that makes it mutar was created on Motzei Shabbat. And that's the tosefet that you say the bracha on. Now, guess what's the difference between Shabbat and Yom Kippur when it comes to saying Borei Meorei Ha'esh? On Shabbat, you will say bracha on a fresh flame. On Yom Kippur, you have to say bracha on Ner Sheshavat. You can't just strike a match on Motzei Yom Kippur and say bracha on it. You have to be a Ner Sheshavat. Because remember, the difference between Yom Kippur and Shabbat is, on Shabbat, we are saying Borei Meorei Ha'esh because this is the commemoration, the birthday of fire. Right? On Motzei Shabbat, Adam HaRishon, Hashem gave him sechel to create fire. So every Motzei Shabbat we commemorate that. But on Yom Kippur, the reason you say it is because I couldn't use fire on Yom Kippur. So therefore, it can't be a fresh fire. It has to be a fire that I had and I couldn't use on the duration of Yom Kippur, and now I could use it. So for that now, you have to have had it during Yom Kippur. It can't be a fresh light. So when you are getting, back to our topic, when you're getting flame from a goy who had the light on Yom Kippur, then your tosefet, he lit it on Yom Kippur, so that's asur. Elamai, you're going to tell me, my tosefet, my additional flame, but your additional flame was created when? On Motzei Yom Kippur. It's not Ner Sheshavat. It's not a flame that existed throughout Yom Kippur. Therefore, in that scenario, you would absolutely not be able to say Borei Meorei Ha'esh on that candle. You have to have a flame that stayed on during the course of Yom Kippurim, and that basically concludes our Seif Vav, and Imir Hashem, we will continue on Seif Zayin in the next shiur in the days to come. Hazaku Baruch.